Welcome to Badly Written Boy, a reciting of my teenage years and my 20s, now as a 40-something. How do I remember all these things? I wrote it all down in a diary. Badly. Enduring with me on this retrospective, cringeworthy experience is my wife, who has never read my diaries. Hello, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm well. We haven't done one of these for a while.
It's been a long time. Our single fan will be most excited that we've returned.
Well, I've got big news.
Please tell me.
We don't just have one fan.
How many fans do we have?
Well, according to the number of views on Spotify, we have 12.
12 regular listeners.
Yes.
That's pretty exciting.
Not subscribers, but we're averaging about 12.
Are they the same people?
I don't know. And it may just be me listening to the podcast 11 times over.
Potentially.
And then Sinead listening to one.
Potentially.
We're nearing the end of 2005.
What's even happening?
We're at the end of the year.
I know we're at the end of the year, but what has even happened this year? It's been that long since we've read it.
I have just got a job in Leeds.
Oh, you did. You got your first architect, ADAS?
ADAS, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm still still living in Sheffield, but about to start working.
With no car.
No car. It's going to be public transport all the way.
Such fun.
Peasant wagon.
Peasant wagon indeed.
1st of November. It's Tuesday. It was sometimes a dark day today, and at times it was also dark psychologically. This was because I'd begun to research for the grim tale I've decided to try and write. Yeah. I still think I'm going to be a writer.
Well, I mean, spoiler alert, it has not happened. But kudos on you for trying. Although you really should focus on getting work that actually pays you money.
I've just got a job.
I know, but you haven't actually got there and or succeeded and or received a pay packet yet.
My new job is amazing. I haven't even started it yet.
I was going to say that's really nice that you're enjoying it, but you haven't actually started. So
it's
you don't
premature.
Know.
Letters, emails, phone calls, text messages. I've had a delightful response from my friends and family over simply obtaining my job.
Because they're just excited that you might be out from under their feet for a change.
Simply, what am I talking about? There's nothing simple about it. Admittedly, I don't even want to tell you how I spelt that. Admittedly, it's been the people who I've told about it who have congratulated me. How else is anyone going to find out unless I tell them? It's been a while since I have been congratulated about anything. Most probably because it's been an age since I did anything worthy of commendation. I've been too busy working out what next entails. By next Monday, I'll have reached that point. I finally got my train ticket sorted out today in preparation for my first week at IDAS. I also sorted a week-long bus pass. Even though the 2 passes come to over £50, it's still cheaper and probably less stressful than a car journey every day. I calculated how much my hourly wage would equate to if it were an annual wage, and it's really quite generous.
Can you remember how much you got paid?
I think it was about 21.
It's pretty good for your first job out of uni.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I'm so tired. I left the house at 7:30, so this is my first day. I got back to the house at 7:30. Then on impulse, I raced to football. Am I not even going to talk about my first day? I raced to football.
We've been waiting for this for years, so we don't even hear about your first day.
I raced to football on Matt's bike to play one half. The fact that we were 5-0 down didn't do much for me, but we actually won the half. I played 1-0. I didn't score though. Work was okay, I suppose. Having got to Leeds on time, I was no sooner into the office than back out again, shooting off to some site that they're working on at the moment. At least it gave me a chance to talk to the head of the landscape section of IDAS, Dan Eustace. He told me about the firm and asked me questions about my past in landscape. I did my best to answer without sounding like a mumbling preschooler with a wet crotch. We eventually got to the site near Bradford, Grange Technology College. The project was nearing completion, an AstroTurf pitch, which I had to help inspect, had a hard hat, a fluorescent yellow jacket, Bob the Builder, or scrutinise it, depending on how you look at it. I helped where I could and did the snag list with a chap called Simon. He's about 26, previously went to Leeds. By the time we'd finished the list, I got back to the office in Leeds and it was lunchtime. I was starving. I walked through the city centre a bit, with Simon while he got his lunch. This afternoon I started doing some CAD. It was a map of the site I'd been to in the morning, on which I had to transfer the snag data onto it. This can be given to the construction guys and they can amend the problems. Then the directors of IDAS had a review meeting with all the staff. It was boring, and even though I got to know the company better, I wanted to go home. First day. I want to go home.
I'm even more tired. I got up at 7:30 and didn't get home until 8:30. What kind of life is this? It isn't. That's my point. I'm breathing, but they're not my breaths. It's the respiration of some half-drunk fool, some fraud who thinks he's a landscape architect, who in his own disillusion thinks he can carve out a living in something he doesn't even love anymore. What a joke.
2 days in.
2 days in.
And I've decided I don't want to do landscape architecture.
Yes. Do yourself a favour and get out while you still can. Middle age is setting in early. How old are you? 23.
Yeah.
Just about to turn 23. Get an addiction so can mask yourself from this stupid life you've crafted, but no longer really want for yourself. Yes, today was poor. Spelt like you pour a drink. I was depressed. Depressed after 2 days in full-time work. This is pathetic.
Yeah, it is.
I really feel like if I knew you then, I don't think we would have lasted.
You've said this before.
I know. Because this is not the kind of husband material.
But aren't you glad I went through all of these hurdles before we met?
Yes. To be honest, I'm finding it hard to adjust myself to the idea of having no life but the one at work. And it was pissing down rain all day. Then the bus didn't come for ages, even when I got back to Sheffield. Didn't get back till well past 8. Sat down as soon as I got home, forgot about my day with whiskey cokes and the 25th hour.
That's a good film.
I managed to go to work today despite the lows of yesterday.
So why am I drinking on a...
You need to drown your sorrows because you're depressed after 2 days of full-time work. And on Wednesday, you managed to go to work despite the lows of yesterday.
Wow.
I even managed to cheer up before I got into the office. You can just imagine you like traipsing in and you're like, all right, I see the door. And just like put a face on as you're going in.
This is like the graduate equivalent of Kevin from Kevin and Perry.
I gave everything my best shot today, whether it was sketching or CAD-based work. I just got stuck into it. I felt the best when I was occupied. It wasn't like yesterday when I was spent hours just looking at a screen, not knowing what to do. Left work without feeling depressed for the first time.
When?
Out of 3 days. Not sure how I will sustain my work position if I have to continue travelling 4 hours every day.
Well.
I mean, to be fair, that is a big commute. But you also just need to get over it.
Yeah. A bus into town in Sheffield, a train from Sheffield to Leeds, and a walk from the station in Leeds to IDAS.
Yeah, that's not fun.
In 1 day of work, I think I learnt how to use AutoCAD better than in the entire landscape course at uni. This was simply down to my own persistence in using it. Also largely because of the help of Anya. She has recently been made an associate at IDAS, and I can see why. I work on CAD mainly today. Some projects based in Rochdale involving the design of the landscape around a school. I needed to hand my bank details to IDAS, to Anders Elite, so they can sort out my pay. I won't get that until next Thursday. Bummer. More borrowing off people. Looks unavoidable. Reluctantly, it's either that or I starve. I deviated from my usual routine in the evening between work days. Rachel was hosting the dinner evening and I was looking forward to it for most of the day. It took frickin' ages to get there though. I'd never got on a bus from town to Ecclesall before. I jumped on the number 3, which wasn't via Ecclesall Road. Unbeknown to me, the section of the road I wanted to get to was bypassed. It did get to the end of the road, but overshot my destination by another 15-minute walk. Rachel and Hannah had put on a nice spread of tacos and fillings, which I was so ready for. Then after dinner, for some unknown reason, Lorraine put on the Kylie Minogue music videos. Prior to that, I was elated to receive a congratulatory card on getting my job in Leeds. Matt, Anita and Rachel had all signed it. That was really nice of them. Friday 11th. It's strange. The beginning of the week seemed so painful, but by the end, it's just a formality. Not an unpleasant one, but just something I'm learning to cope with. A few nice things happened today. At lunchtime, a small group of the Sheffield Uni landscapers dropped by my office. They had been looking at a site in Leeds, and it included the precinct where I work. I can at least say that word. Matt and Anita and Rachel were all there. They didn't stay long, and I was shortly back up in the office doing my CAD. For many of the doors in the office, you need an electronic key to unlock it. I didn't have one yet, and there are none available at the moment. The point is, every time I got to go to the toilet, I get locked out and I have to go upstairs through the reception, through the architect's office, and back down the stairs to another unlocked door. By coincidence, the girl on reception had, like myself, started at the beginning of the week. We got to talking. I think she likes me.
Oh, of course she does.
She wondered if I was going for a drink after work. If not for my cash-strapped situation, it would have been a resounding yes, because she's hot. I said next week. Something to look forward to.
Rarely has a weekend off work ever meant so much.
It's been a hard
This
week.
is your first week. With the money Mum put in my account, I was able to deviate from my recent menu of not a lot. I didn't have a huge amount of sterling to throw down, and even buying food can be a bit of a gamble, you see. I had to try and stretch what I had to get me through to payday. I don't want to come up short for the tickets for the bus and the train next week. I suppose there was little chance of coming up short, being that I went to Netto, where the bags cost more than the beans, as Peter Kay put it. It was chilly weather, but clear skies at least. I walked down and got the bus back. I watched a bit of rugby this arvo, but it was boring because the All Blacks were hammering the Irish so bad. I turned it off and played Wolfenstein instead. Can I just say I'm really proud of you for not going out and buying games when you had literally no money?
I think it's better that I didn't go out drinking on the Friday.
But I'm just proud that you didn't go and spend your money on useless things when you actually had nothing. I realise the afternoon may be the opportunity to go for a run. Exercise is very important. You have to do it when you can, while you can. Actually, if it's a confidence thing, if I exercise, I'll feel better looking. And that is important for a single guy like me who are on the lookout for women like the secretary I have been thinking about too much. I can't help it. I'm looking forward to this week just to see her. It's dangerous, though. The ability to focus on anything else, like work, for example, become more difficult. Such distractions. So traumatic for you. You're just obsessed with anything with boobs. I don't feel so special anymore.
You don't?
No.
Oh.
You are very much attracted to anything with a pulse. Anything with a pulse.
Anything
It shows
with
you
what?
that anything with a pulse that shows you the slightest bit of attention.
I'm single. I've only been...
You know, but like when you first met me, I thought I was special, but clearly not. Clearly you just literally went for anything with a pulse.
I don't think you should think like that.
Well, I do after reading this.
Well, there's a few more to come and go.
I'm sure there is.
It's not like you didn't go out with anybody before we started going out.
No, I know, but I wasn't like every man that I saw just being like, oh yeah, I just can't focus because he's just so sexy and I can so distracting.
I'm showing restraint with most of the women now.
Babe, the only restraint you're showing is because they have shown literally no interest in you, and it would be sexual assault charges if you went
to be
anywhere
fair,
near them.
all they have to do is say, hi, Mark, and be like, oh, they like
Exactly right. And it gets to the point where you're like, I'm so distracted, they're just so attractive, and now I need to run so that my body looks good and that I look good and I'm more attractive to women, because all I care about is getting laid. Because you obviously know you're very good in bed.
I'm a little vain.
After that incident
I'm a
with
little vain.
Irene, where she had abdominal pain because you were just...
Old news. Oh God, weekdays again. Kill me now. Some say your life ends when your first child arrives. I say it's over when you begin your first full-time job. I barely have a life away from work now. The lengths you have to go to preserve the life of leisure you used to lead become more and more extreme. In today's case, it was me trying to get to football in the evening. I managed to get there with a few minutes into the first half. It was a pretty rough side we were up against too, with the top of the table. I was told we fought fire with fire. I wasn't taking any shit. The ref was sensible though, but their first goal shouldn't have stood. He was in the box. It was 2-2 in the end, but we were 2-1 up for quite a while. I almost got into a fight, but I was only retaliating to their roughness. Work was okay today, learning all the time. The secretary's name is Liv. I had to see her a good few times. She's nice, no doubt. I wonder if she's got a fella. I should ask her out. The train today was delayed. This meant I wasn't in the office and at my desk until almost 10 to me. I looked scruffy and I felt under the weather. The split seam in my pants is clinging together for dear life. Buy 2 staples I find in.
No.
As a substitute for a genuine needle. Oh my God, my pants are held together by staples.
Oh no.
I don't have the resources for any real repair. Well, I could just go to the shop and buy a repair kit, but I probably don't know what to do yet. My hair was also a cabbage patch with no real aesthetic appeal. I saw a little point in bothering Liv, but for my own selfish desire, I continued my CAD-based work on Rochdale schools. Strangely, I was the last landscape worker out the office this evening. Dan wasn't around, so...
Strangely, because you rocked up an hour late. That's why you're the last one out.
Yeah.
Strangely, I'm the only one dedicated enough to stay beyond my traditional work hours.
Patting myself on the back. Dan wasn't around, so I guess some of the others thought they could leave. I was in a rush to get home because I was supposed to be meeting Matt Wilson for a drink at 8. We met at a little bar later on called Noah's Ark. Not the biblical kind, but a place where they serve cold beer, and we drank it. He looked tired as I did. Matt continues to push 2 jobs and still playing hockey. Busy guy, not to mention Nikki. We went down to the South Seas after that, despite my dripping nose. Now in a rouge-like state, and anything that touches it feels like sandpaper. Some of Matt's housemates were in the South Seas, so we had a few more beers. At closing, Nikki arrived, and I was able to get a lift home with her in her Deux Matiz.
Stayed off work today, had a cold. Got paid though, so I was able to buy some more food. Mostly played Wolfenstein on Matt's superior Dell throughout the day. I was feeling better by the evening, partially thanks to paracetamol. Went to Pizza Hut to get dinner. It was a takeout and we made a night of it by getting a few DVDs in from choice. Having had yesterday off, you've had a day off work in your second week?
I'm sick.
Still, you just push through. It's your second week of work.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, absolutely.
Nuh-uh.
That is.
I'm just protecting the health of the others.
If I employed someone and they took a day off in the second week, I would just be like, what the F?
If they're sick, you can't do anything about
Not
it,
for
Jess.
a cold.
Yes, but it might have got worse.
But it didn't. It's a cold. I would not be impressed. Unless it was like a hospital admission.
My nose is dripping. And it
You
feels
just
like
deal with
sandpaper
it.
to touch.
Just deal with it.
No,
It's winter in the UK.
It's horrendous.
And it's week 2.
It's a difficult
You
time
have
in my
no
life.
staying power.
It's a Friday. Since it was by coincidence that I first met Liv, I think it is by... How's it a coincidence? I think it's a coincidence that we should...
Just cross paths. It's like it's in a storybook.
I think I'm trying to make reference to that we started on the first week, but it reads ridiculously. We should get to know one another. What I'm saying is I don't want to be a sex pest and do laps of the office to get, at minimum, a glance of this girl. So I was most satisfied when she sat down close by at lunch. I was reading a book, The Count of Monte Cristo, and she was also reading a book. I held out from breaking the silence to see if she would, and she did. Sorry?
You were trying to play hard to get.
That was when the conversation blossomed. We talked about books and films mainly. I enjoyed it, and I have less doubt in my mind that she likes me. Got up to go back downstairs. She looked up into my eyes, and I swear all I could see was desire.
Oh my God. It literally takes nothing. Looking someone in the eye is just a way to have a conversation with them. And you're like, she looked me in the eye. It was desire. It absolutely wasn't. She was just being nice.
I don't know. This sounds like desire to me, Jess.
Oh my God.
I'd hope to see her this evening in the bar.
Is this giving you an understanding of what women go through? Where you can't even have a conversation with a man before they just assume that you want to like jump their bones.
I'm still learning, Jess. I'm not an incel.
She couldn't even look you in the eye before you were like, oh my God, she definitely wants to have
I
sex with
had
me.
hoped to see her this evening in the bar many of the staff go to
girl.
on Friday after work. I managed to drag Simon and Sam over for a pint. They didn't want to stay beyond that, and it was only about 6:30. I wasn't overly despondent. The weekend had landed, and I wanted action. I phoned Graham to see if he was up for doing something. That's Slank's brother, Graham. I'm doing a bar crawl, he said. I'm in Headingley this second. Just what the doctor ordered. I jumped on a bus in that direction and met Graham shortly afterwards. His best mates were in the pub with him, and they're all first-year students. 3 lads, 4 lasses, cha-ching. The younger students are the most accepting of the new addition to their posse. Graham's drum roll to my introduction paved the way for an evening which extended far past a pint and a train back to Sheffield. Instead, I found myself engrossed in a bustling Friday night in Leeds. Graham and his rosy student entourage were already several drinks into their pub crawl, which possibly softened my introduction. I'm on the pool, he announced. I don't remember the names of the bars we went to, but they were numerous. We ended up going to Fruity, the union night in Leeds, in the Leeds Union. I skipped the coat room queue, and despite one student's best efforts to deny my queue jumping, I was in a crazy don't fuck with me mood. Everyone was jumping on the dance floor for some reason, and me and Graham got bottles of Nuki Brown. Later on, we had a Subway. The girls went home, and I slept on an inflatable mattress in Graham's halls of residence bedroom floor. Classy. It wasn't a bad sleep I had on Graham's floor. The inflatable mattress was a saviour. Lank called him early to prompt him out of bed and in the general direction of the station. The brothers meeting in Huddersfield, where Lank goes to uni. Graham was surprised to see how close he lives to where I work, and said I should come around as often as I like. We went to the station via the River Walk. I hopped on a train back to Sheffield, anticipating Ben's arrival this afternoon. He duly arrived mid-afternoon, just as Matt reminded me we were supposed to be hosting a dinner for Rach, Anita and Simon. We made use of Ben's car, his mum's rancid Fiat Punto, to get to Morrison's.
I used to love a Fiat Punto.
Yeah, they weren't bad, were they?
Yeah.
We decided to get a chicken stir-fry and headed off, and everyone loved it. This evening, myself, Ben and Matt went to Rachel's. It was pretty cool, but last night had taken its toll. Even my power nap early on couldn't fully restore my party while you can attitude.
Had lunch at Take 5 with Matt and Ben. Then I went to the city to try and sort out my train and bus tickets. So knowing you have to go there every week. I was successful on the initial account, but when I tried to get a student bus ticket with my expired uni card, the bus driver stood his ground. I felt like I was a guilty party, like I genuinely attempted to obtain something which I had no right to.
I didn't have any right to.
Exactly. Of course I did. If I had the time to sort one out, I'd get a new U card. God, I wasn't up for today, yet I still dragged myself to and from work as a means to an end. I wasn't doing useful skill. You do realise you've got to do this for like another 50 years.
I don't think I realised this yet.
No.
Probably not the time to tell me, though.
No. I wasn't doing useful skill collecting activities today. I was binding management plan reports all day, 5 of the buggers. Then, 10 minutes before I left, Anya.
No, that's not how she spells it. Anya. Trust me, I know.
I'm going to go with the history of your terrible spelling.
Nope, it's definitely A-N-I-A.
We'll just have to agree to disagree.
Nope.
I left Anya, gave me something more constructive to do. She wants me to research the plants for a planting plan of a pond. I'd earlier spoken to Anya regarding this report/dissertation research thing that we have to do during our year out, and she made the suggestion to do a sensory garden. What a great idea. It's such an accessible thing to research to, and relevant to practice at this point of time. Accessible, I feel, is a really modern word, and you're using it in context.
Yeah,
In
I'm
the
becoming
early
professional.
2000s. You are. I found out Lizzie's full name, Olivia. We were emailing back and forth quite a bit. I'm just trying to humour her.
This reminds me of Mark Corrigan and What's Her Face on...
Yes, exactly right. Sophie.
Yeah.
When I got off the train in Sheffield, the traffic sucked and was forced to walk home. Then I rushed to football, which was awful. There was a brawl beforehand with the 2 Heat teams. We weren't involved, but it sucked really. The team we played were nice guys, but shite at football. Ewan scored, but they fluked a deflected shot past this random. Ewan scored again, but our defence was shocking and they got another soft goal. Cumbria and James simply weren't playing the balls through for me to score. Then they scored a wonder goal, and that was it for me. Get fucked. I hoofed the ball away in anger.
I remember that.
I left the end of the game in a huff, and I'm pretty sure they'll be making me the scapegoat for the team's shit performance. I'm not sure I want to bust my ass to play every week.
I really, really regret doing that.
It's very childish.
It was totally childish.
This is what the 7-year-olds do when they get pissed off at soccer training.
I listened to Muse's Origin of Symmetry on the train to work today. I listened to it on a CD player.
Has that got my favourite Muse song in? The only song I know.
Which one's that?
Nay, will
No, this is their second album. It wasn't on there.
We will be victorious. Yamin!
Okay. Can I continue?
Paranoia is in blue. It's a fucking great song, that one.
In this day and age, when everyone carries their entire music collection on a device with no moving parts, a guy listening to a 12-track CD on the move is pretty out of place. Work was a bit intense when I got in. I had to scan a whole load of pictures for Dan and then arrange them on...
Oh my God, not scanning. So intense. This is so intense.
I must have just been like hyper focused on the bright light of the scanner. Okay, so I'm doing some intense scanning.
To be fair, back then they probably didn't have like, you know, now they'll have like a feed through. You can put like 100 things on, it'll just feed it through. Back then you probably had to do one on, one off.
I would imagine so. I had to scan a whole load of pictures for Dan and arrange them on Photoshop before he left for a meeting. I don't think they were vital. I get the impression that he was gearing me up, getting me ready for deadlines. This morning I was still unhappy about the football last night. I got a text off Ewan wondering if I was okay. I felt like I should justify my actions. I decided quite rationally that it was down to my lack of service up front. Through balls that should have been played but weren't, and James is bitching. When I hoofed the ball away in frustration, he was so ready to have a go at me. Yet, early on in the game, he missed one-on-one with the keeper because he was trying to be cocky by attempting to lob him. This afternoon, after my lunch, I briefly glanced by reception to say my hellos to Olivia. Then I got on with some work that Anya had left. She wants me to research the plants for a pond in one of the schemes IDAS are working on. It was stingingly cold when I left work.
Stinkingly cold.
I looked forward to watching Dogtown and Z-Boys when I got home, which I did with Matt. It's all about the origins of skateboarding in an influential cultural setting. The phenomenon, which I had no idea stemmed from surfing, spawned from a generation of pre-X gamers whose influence on the sport grants an enviable applause. Besides the fact I felt tired at the start of and at the end of the day, today was bitchin'. Dan and Anya weren't in work for the majority of the day, leaving no one to give me any work. I didn't start out with any slacking intentions, but as the lack of work and consequent twiddling my thumbs ensued, I was forced to entertain myself. I browsed the internet for which games I might be tempted to buy. At the moment, I'm particularly interested in Shining Force, Astro Boy, Harvest Moon, and Gunstar Heroes.
You can't say that without doing it in the accents.
Shining Force. Rob, who is in his last week at IDAS, gave me some work to do. It'll be a shame to see him go because he's helped me pick up some useful CAD skills. Unfortunate fellow, as nice as he is, I wouldn't deny that he's probably had it rough. Ginger hair, glasses, and a difficult speech impediment.
Oh my God.
This afternoon I was able to get on with my CAD work whilst playing email tennis with Olivia. When I had been up to see her, I would have hanged around if it weren't for the fact that I had stuff to do for my job, my career. But Olivia is a welcome distraction. Jane, the other older secretary, must have at least a hint of what my intentions are. Always hovering around the reception. I got a call from Dan the Savo. He'd finished a meeting and wanted to pass on the news that my frames I'd put together, the pictures of the plants he'd chosen, had been well received. Yahoo, not really. And Dan is brilliant for doing that. He's very encouraging.
That's some good feedback. Although I'm sure I must have been this cold before, I struggle to recall it. That unmerciful point on the thermometer which reads freezing. There isn't a large range of temperatures humans will happily tolerate, and here in England, we're into the height of the season that people tolerate the least. A season that kills the most, that brings the onslaught of new strains of flu, that sees us sing songs with the merry lyric. Work was everything it was yesterday, except for an old fart called Todd. I sent an email out to everyone to see if I could borrow boots, a jacket, and a hard hat for a visit to a construction site tomorrow. Todd was the only one who replied, and it was verging on abusive the way it was phrased. You shouldn't borrow other people's gear. It's a serious safety issue. Woe be fucking tied.
Woe be tied.
Oh, woe be fucking tied.
Hey, I was doing the right thing. I didn't have any PPE, and I'm asking for somebody else's PPE.
I agree with you.
That guy.
Completely.
That
I was
guy.
laughing more at your woe be tied. I'm taking a photo of a pond at the site, Todd, not trying to break the regional brick headbutting record. And what is he trying to imply? That should I take nothing? As it turned out, he didn't, and he sorted out the items I required.
What an asshole.
Some people are just jobs worth. Today was my craziest one ever. This morning, instead, with 2 Ds, of going straight to Leeds, I met up with Anya at a site on the southeast of Sheffield. The tram ride was interesting, and I took on the form of a construction site worker with my hard hat, wellies, and eye-bleaching fluorescent yellow jacket. The construction site, like the rest of the country, was frozen. Anya arrived shortly after, and we were escorted around to the section of the site which contained a pond. I need some photos of it, and despite his unreliabilities, I took those pictures with my Polaroid. Anne and I headed back to Leeds in her red Peugeot 306. We got the chance to talk. I never realised she was Polish. She emigrated to the UK in '85 when she was a kid. Now she's married to Ricardo the Spaniard. Back in the Leeds office, I received an email from Rob who said he'd be out for lunch and after work as it was his last day. Shame he's leaving, he's helped me a lot. About 8 of us went to the restaurant adjacent to the office for lunch. It wasn't too cheap, but my onion soup and fries seemed better value than some of the other choices. This afternoon, I checked to see if Liv would be going out again after work. She confirmed that.
Woohoo!
I began working on the pond site on AutoCAD. The landscape staff were again the last few in the office, but it was great to finally get to reclaim. Dan had given us a bit of money to get Rob a drink or two, which I'm sure you spent on yourself. It was really crowded, but Liv made an effort to come and speak to me. I introduced her to those who didn't know her. Liv was with some girls from work and also her sister. I met them when I eventually got a seat. This was better. More snug. We talked for a while, but then I saw Rob standing on his own. As much as I wanted to stay close with Liv and continue having my legs and arms stroked. What?
Very forward.
Look at that. Maybe she does actually reciprocate. Wow. As much as I wanted to stay close with Liv and continue having my legs and arms stroked, it was his leaving day. I bought another picture, which Rob, new friend Rakesh, and myself consumed. I talked to Rakesh about music loads, which was engrossing, but it was more interesting when Liv came up to me, stuck an arm around me, and leant her head on my shoulder.
Wow.
This is... You definitely had a hard-on. Rakesh was quite...
What's that banging on the table?
Rakesh was struck by the magnetism, which I wasn't expecting, but loving it all the same. Liv gave me her number because she was going to other bars with the girls. Call me later, she insisted. We exchanged formalities, though not as intimate as we would have liked. Rob, Rakesh and I went looking for other bars and made it to Revolution. It wasn't as amazing as the one in Newcastle. Several rounds of whiskey and coke passed before us. At one point, an older guy in a psychedelic jacket walked by and several people followed him to a hidden corner of the establishment. That's the dealer, Rakesh insisted. No kidding, he was followed by a legion of hungry-eyed partygoers. I don't know the name of the next bar, but we were trying to get a pool table. I didn't work out, and the two of them soon left to catch late trains. Oh, how I wish I'd followed them. I led my conflict and chaos around Leeds for a second consecutive Friday night, intoxicated with the whiskey madness. Reluctantly, I could not find the bar Meatpackers where Liv and the girls had gone, according to her text. Not satisfied with my lack of company, I went in search of Graham's Hall, where he told me a party was in progress. I got lost, went in circles, fell over, but eventually found the place I'd been once before. Despite taking on the appearance of a jail, Graham got me through the electronic gates. You needed a stamp to get into the party, so I forged it on the back of my hand with a biro. The bouncers were none the wiser. I found myself in a crowd watching a hypnotist whom, quite frankly, I had great distaste for. Apparently too coordinated to be a hoax, Dave had a dozen weak-minded students hypnotised and performing anything he wanted them to. Then things got ugly. I somehow procured mince pies. I had to save the hypnotised students from their own stupor, so I took aim at Dave and tried to hit him in hope of...
Trying to throw pies at the hypnotist. This is hilarious. I must have been pretty drunk.
No one else seemed to share my view, not least the head bouncer who threatened to kick me out. I declined the offer, but I don't think it was a question. But ejection was on the cards. Graham and his mates appeared to be on the verge of leaving, so I went outside. They didn't go immediately, and when I tried to get back inside, it went pear-shaped. My forged admittance stamp was discovered, and my lack of a ticket. I didn't take it personally. They were doing their jobs. Not only that, but they escorted me off the premises. Classy. Graham and his entourage soon arrived and we caught a bus somewhere. To the uni, I think, because some reason I ended up in Fruity. Oh, that was the student club at Leeds, wasn't it? Fruity.
I guess so.
Yeah. Graham pursued a supermodel of outstanding beauty. I bemoaned the fact Liv had gone home, but she exclaimed her regret at not going with me.
Oh.
Is she drunk? Or is this going to turn into something?
I don't know.
In hindsight, I should have been happier because at least we've established a liking for each other. I didn't enjoy Fruity. I swirled a San Miguel and watched a rerun of the previous Friday, only this time I really, really wanted to go home and sleep. Now, it was my understanding that Graham's mate, Steesh, was back at the halls in Graham's room. Through a process which has now become a blurred memory, I contacted him and checked if I could come back and crash. Foolishly, I waited in the cold outside for Graham at around 2 or 3. And even more foolishly, I left, disgusted with my situation, but convinced I could locate Graham's hall a second time with more ease. This wasn't so. I got lost again. Amongst the Leeds uni campus, I struggled to find a way out. Things were turning sour and it was becoming a bad day. Trial and error with plenty of the latter. Somehow I got to the city centre where I bought a Subway. It did nothing for my dehydration, but I was no longer hungry. Finally, I found the hall after I gave up on the trains, which I was irrationally disgusted with for not running a 4 a.m. service to Sheffield. I had to wait at the gate once again where Graham would arrive. Even when he got back, I couldn't sleep at his. Steesh was AWOL with his room key. We ended up in a room with some random girls, some of which I think they knew. They were okay but immature girls of whorish calibre and at risk of or in possession of many STDs indeed. I don't even know these poor girls. I fell asleep, then I woke up in the corridor where I was prompted to by Graham, whom I suspected was probably trying to get into any one of the girls previously mentioned. There I was, an employee of a respectable architecture firm, using my rucksack as a pillow in a student hall corridor in Leeds. I got a very early trade home. George Best died today. What a
Jesus, what a day.
What a random ending.
That was amazing. That was an amazing day.
That was a great day. And a girl probably wants to have sex with you.
Saturday. I'm going to be hungover shortly. Today was more about trying to get home than recover anything else. Having got an incredibly early train back to Sheffield, I simply wanted to hit the hay. When I came to, it was about 1:30 in the afternoon, with a hideous headache that had thwarted me during the earlier hours. I found so much of the day had gone already, but I got stuck into the things that I needed to do. Repair my trousers, food shopping, washing of clothes, etc. It was Simon and Anita's turn to host dinner. A friend of Anita's called Pete was also there, along with myself, Matt and Rach, who arrived late. In the time before she arrived, we almost sorted out the Secret Santa name allocation. That is, you put your names into a hat. I'm explaining a Secret Santa. You put your name into a hat. Whoever's name you draw, you buy them a present. The complication was drawing out your own name, and in this instance, Anita did not want to have to pick for Simon. Rachel arrived and served a very tasty Thai curry along with poppadoms. I was interrogated over the craziness which ensued last night and the not-so-mysterious Liv. After dinner, we all squashed into Rachel's VW Polo from before anyone was born. I think I'm talking about the age of the car. Mm-hmm. Yes, there was 6 of us for the record. The plan was to head down to Broomhill for a few drinks. It was nice, but a little crowded. After a few in the place and a cheeky third in the Fox and Duck, I was ready to fall asleep. Last night had caught up with me. There was more things to sort out today. My most important task was to find Mum a wicked 50th birthday present. I wanted to find something elegant which would somehow symbolise what she means to me. I had a figurine in mind, something not too defined in its features. What I ended up buying was a bit different. It wasn't until I strayed from the most central shops that I stumbled across the lanes, where a better selection of items was found. Most of the figurines I saw were inappropriate. I couldn't find a feminine figure which didn't have either a pair of fairy wings, a baby in its arms, or its tits hanging out for all to see. I found an animal shop which had a selection of bronze cats. Oh, that's where I got them. Each of the poses of the cats was provocative in its own right, but I chose 3 which I thought might appeal to Mum. In another shop called Arkwright's Boutique, I found a great wooden box with a leather cover.
Ooh, wonderful. A box.
Box. Which I could fit the cats into. The box looks like a treasure chest, and I'm sure Mum will find another use for that too.
Oh my God.
Oh, the bronze cat's pretty cool.
But why do you need to buy her a box that looks like a treasure chest?
To put the cats into.
Yes, but the cat's not for display.
Yes.
So then what's she going to do with the treasure box?
I don't know. It's better than the cardboard box.
Please, when the boys get older, don't teach them that these are the kind of things that I like, because they are not.
It's not a big deal. It's just a box.
It's a bit of a shit present for a 50th. You know what I bought my mum?
She's still got them.
You know what I bought my mum for a 50th?
No, I don't.
A trip to Vienna. A surprise
I do
trip.
know that.
Not Vienna, Venice.
I didn't hang around for
your
long.
mum some bronze cats.
I think it's a good present. And I don't have that much money, so get all the way off my back.
Neither did I. I just saved because my mum means a lot to me.
I'm not a saver.
And that's very true.
I've been on the lash for like the last 2 nights. I don't have any money left.
You are not a saver.
I have a disgusting phlegmy chest and it won't go away.
You might as well take some more time off work. That's it. I'm running out of small talk. I could barely concentrate on work today. I probably spent a larger proportion of my time small talking Liv. Only now I have to talk about real stuff. Outings are what we need. The office is no place for alternative use of lips, hands, or other features. Not yet, anyway. Christ, what am I talking about? All I know is that my mum once told me that if you know you really like someone when you get that overpowering, electrifying feeling when they're in the room. I feel that way about Liz and it's driving me crazy. She drives me crazy. Like no one else. She drives me crazy and I can't help myself. That was incredible. See, I love how when we first started this, you were like, no, I don't sing. Singing is not something that I do. And now you're spontaneously dropping into song.
Mm-hmm.
This is growth. She dropped by my desk, which she has never done before. That was heavenly, actually.
Heavenly?
Heavenly. Turned around to find her smiling right back. It's an incredible smile as well. It makes her look twice as beautiful. Work was a real drag today. It's the first shift in a while where I genuinely felt that way. You've been in work for like 3. This is your third week.
Week 3.
This is your third week. Oh, it's been so long since I felt bad at work. But, you know,
I've been sick for 2 of the 3 weeks.
You are so dramatic.
Mainly down to my own doing. Like, I reckon that massive night out where I was just wandering around Leeds, like, not knowing where I was,
yes,
probably didn't do any good.
And that's 2 weeks in a row you've done that.
Yeah.
And then you've gone back to Sheffield and gone out. I was fidgeting over this pond planting plan, which I've been researching by myself. Now that I have the relevant information, I need the input to ensure I set things up properly, but I have no Anya around to help me. She's down at some school site. Dan seems too busy to give me much help. For some annoying reason, I keep thinking about food. My proximity to the vending machine became close 3 times too many, and it's fat on my ass because I am not in a state to exercise, not with this damn chest infection. I told Dan I'd be seeing the doctor tomorrow morning, therefore I won't be in the office till midday. In 2.5 weeks, you've had a whole day off sick, and you're having half day off to go to the doctor.
That's a massive, like, wedge of the day to go to the doctors.
Yeah, but if you go in Sheffield at 10:15...
I can understand why it's happened, but from an employer's perspective, it's like, what are you doing?
I would be absolutely not. You should have gone on the weekend.
Yeah.
This is your 3rd week.
Yeah, and I've already had 2 days off.
Yes. I feel like missing the dogs in Manchester tonight is a missed opportunity with Liv. At least I know there won't be too many people getting into her. Hopefully that's not her frame of mind. Because she's got a gross... You're saying cold sore, but you've written coleslaw?
maybe that's what it was. It wasn't a cold sore.
On her lip.
Just, yeah.
You're so mean. Like, I can't believe this is the way you think. There won't be too many people getting into her.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have sex with anyone else. You're like, oh, she's got a gross thing on her face. So no one's going to want her. She'll just save herself for me. Honestly, you have got... I really hope this isn't how people think.
Last day of November. I was late for almost everything today. Surprise, surprise. I think it would have gone better if I'd done everything 10 minutes earlier than first intended.
Ah, things haven't changed.
Nope. First, I was nearly late for the doctor's appointment. I didn't get to work until about 3. So I went to work for like 2 hours.
There's literally no point in going in.
No, not at all. Fortunately, Sam was the only one in, but Dan had left a lot of work to do. I didn't get it all done, but I stayed until 7, and that's the end of November.
Excellent.
Wow, what a month.
I mean, I'm hoping you'll get laid by this Liz girl next month. That would be nice.
Here's to hoping.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Badly Written Boy. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like and subscribe button.